Hi, welcome back to the Power of Model Drawing. All right, we are now going into creative model drawing. So in 2020, we are going to plunge straight into how to draw out the problems. Okay, so let's look at problem one now, and let's see how we solve by model drawing. Okay, now question one: Henry spent 1/5 of his money and an additional $6 on a book. He then spent 3/7 of his remaining money and an additional $4 on a bag. He then spent $11 on food and had $25 left. So how much money did Henry have at first? Okay, now when you draw model or when you start to draw, you always think about whether do I draw parts whole or do I draw comparison. Now in this problem, I will draw a parts whole because there's a remainder. This problem is a remainder problem, so it's better to draw a parts whole model. Okay, then how do we start the drawing? Now if you are going to draw a parts whole model, then the first sentence can always draw something. You can always draw a rectangle from the first sentence. So Henry spent 1/5 of his money. So this rectangle represents his money, which is 5 boxes, and he spent 1 box plus another $6. So I'm going to cut a dotted line, right? You have 1 box that is spent on the book plus another $6, and I'm going to label. So it's important that you label your model. Very important, because if a good model, after you draw the model, you don't need to look at the question. You just look at your model. Your model is the question, actually. So you should be looking at the model on its own to try to get the steps. Okay, that is your first sentence. He then spent 3/7 of his remaining money. So the remainder is on the right side. And if you look at the remainder, you need to cut the remainder into 7 boxes, right? Or okay, let me go back to the first fraction. His money has a total of 5, and 1 box is spent on a book plus another $6. And now the remainder money has a total of 7 boxes, and 3 boxes of the remainder is spent on a bag. Alright, on a bag. Okay? Alright. So if you look at the remainder, can I cut the remainder into 7 boxes? I can't. So if I can't cut the remainder into 7 boxes, I will need to drop down. So in our lessons last year, we have to drop down the remainder if we cannot cut into so many boxes. So count into 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 3 boxes plus another $4. So I'm going to dotted line. This is your $4. So you have 3 boxes plus another $4 spent on a bag. Alright, so where is the leftover? The leftover is on the right side. Okay, that is the leftover, or the money he spent on food and the leftover. So let's label. So this part is the money spent on food. So I'm going to just write the word food and left. Alright, so label your model clearly. And how much did he spend on food? Put all the numbers onto your model so that it becomes more and more clear. And how much is left? Which is $25 left. So you're until here already. So how much money did Henry have at first? Which is to find the parts whole model, which you draw at the beginning. And that is how it looks like. This is how the model looks like. Not very hard to draw. Okay, so once you're drawn already, then you look at your model and you study. Alright, study your model and see whether you can come up with any steps. Yes, I can. I can find how much is the food and the leftover, which is $36. Of course, you need to show your steps, how you get 36. So in your exam, please show the steps, because these are what give you your meta marks. Model doesn't give you the meta marks, it's the steps. Okay, now if this is $36, then you can see that, alright, if this is $36, then how much is 4 boxes? Alright, 4 boxes. Isn't 36 plus 4, that is $40. Am I correct? Alright, so you have 36 plus 4. So you write down the steps and you get 40, and then you divide by 4 because there are 4 boxes there. So you have 40 and divide by 4. There will be $10 in every box. So you have 10, here also 10, 10, and this box is also 10, but there's a 4 inside. So the other part must be 6. 4 plus 6 equal 10. And then 10 again, 10. So take time to draw your model. Don't rush, right? Don't rush through the model. Take time. Because if you spend more time on the model drawing, then the solving will come very fast actually. Okay, now, and then whatever you drop down is the same as above, right? Above. So for example, can I find how much is all this? How much is the arrow sign? So you have 10 times how many boxes you see below? There are 7 boxes, right? 7 boxes of 10. So 10 times 7, that will be 70. So which means that this is 70, right? 70. Okay? And then 70 plus 6, that will give you another how many more boxes, right? So I'm going to use a different color. So 70 plus 6, all right, 6, that will give you 76, right? 76. And which is 4 boxes now. And then you divide by 4. So you take 76 and you divide by 4 and you get 19. So every box is 19. So let's put down 19, 19, 19, and then this is also 19, and then the other part is here, this is 13, right? 13 plus 6 is also 19. Alright, so now can you see that it's very clear already? So how much is the money that Henry have at first? So you can take 76 plus 19, or 19 times 5. Alright, so one box is 19, and there are 5 boxes. Alright, 5 boxes on top. Alright, so you times 5, and that will give you how much? That will give you $95. So Henry has how much money at first? Which is $95. And that's how you use the model to solve the problem. And how many marks is this? I think it's at least about 4 marks. Okay, 4 marks. Okay, so easy. Okay, maybe not so. Okay, but the lesson here is what? To draw sentence by sentence. So you should be focusing on every sentence one by one. So don't try to solve when you have not completed your model drawing. Try to draw out the whole thing first. Then you look at the model and then you see what you can do with the model. Okay, now let's go to practice problem 2. And it becomes a little harder now, or looks harder. Okay, now let's see how we solve. A baker baked 450 donuts and buns. The donuts was 3/5 of the total donuts and buns. What does that mean? Arrow pointing, right? Remember in our lessons on fractions, how you break up the fractions. So the donuts have 3 boxes, and the total donuts and buns is 5 boxes. He sold some buns, and the donuts became 9/13 of the total number of donuts and buns, which is, so the total is 13 now, right? 13 boxes. All right, so in the end, there are 9 boxes of donuts, and in the end, there are 13 boxes of donuts and buns altogether in the end. So how many buns were sold? All right, now if you read this question, this is like a before and after problem. All right, before and after. So what is unchanged? Now he sold some buns. He did not sell any donuts. So the donuts is unchanged, right? So when you have before and after problem, then you must think about a very important question. What is unchanged, or everything changed? So there are 4 answers. Total unchanged. When is the total unchanged? When there's a transfer. Alright, you put some donuts from one box into another box. Alright, into the, or there's a transfer. For example, you have a box with donuts and a box with buns, and then you take out some donuts and put into the box with buns. Right, there's a transfer. So the total is unchanged. Or is the difference unchanged? Now, did he sell equal number of donuts and buns? The question number says, so the difference has changed. He sold only buns only. So one group is unchanged, which is the donuts. He did not sell any donuts. Or is everything changed? So you have to think about this question, right? There are 4 answers to consider in this problem. What's the answer? One group is unchanged. Okay, now if you are going to draw a before and after model, then the best model or the most suitable model to draw is your comparison model. You don't want to draw a parcel model because this is a before and after. Alright, so let's draw the before model, all right, before. Okay, a baker baked 450 donuts and buns. If you don't know how to draw the first sentence, skip, do the next one. Go to the next sentence. The donuts was 3 boxes, all right, donuts have 3 boxes, and the total donuts and buns is 5 boxes, so which means that the buns must have 2 boxes, right? Why? Because altogether there are 5 boxes, right? And you can see the total number of donuts and buns is 5. So 5 minus 3, there are 2 boxes of buns at first. Okay, then where's your after? Right, let's draw the after. Now he sold some buns, right, but he did not sell any donuts. So the donuts will still be the same length, all right, same length. So okay, it will still be the same length, same as before, and the donuts became 13 of the total donuts and buns. Okay, so which means that I have to cut the donuts into 9 boxes. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 boxes, and the buns became 4 boxes. Okay, why 4? Because you take the total, which is 13 minus 9, right, and you get 4. So the buns have 4 boxes. So you draw a rectangle for the buns, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and that is how your model looks like. You can see the donuts is unchanged, but the buns have become lesser. So how many buns were sold? Well, you can put the question mark if you like, right? If you don't want to put the question mark, it's fine, right? If you think that putting the question mark makes the model messy, then don't put, right? It's up to you. Okay, so you have drawn until here already, right? You have drawn the whole sentence, but did you really draw out the whole problem? Now, if you go back to the first sentence that you did not draw, there's something that you haven't put inside, which is the total, right? Total. So whatever you can't draw, do remember to go back to the sentence and add on to your model, right? So the baker baked 450 donuts and buns, and this must be the total at first, right? Because it's at the beginning, right? The number is at the beginning of the problem, so it must be the total at first. All right, so how many buns were sold? All right, so you have to find the question. You have to answer the question. Okay, so we are done. The model is done. So what do we do next? All right, very easy. Look at what is unchanged. The donuts is unchanged, so there are 3 boxes on top for the donuts, and there are 9 boxes below for the donuts. So all I have to do is to make them equal. All right, so how to make them equal? I can put 3 units, 3 and 3. So I got 9 units as well. And below, I also have 9 units. And then for the buns, there will be 3 units in every box, right? 3 units. All right, then for the buns, how many buns in the end? There will be 4 units of buns in the end, right? So now you can see that, oh, it's actually quite simple, right? It become very simple already. So what is the total buns at first? Total donuts and buns at first, 450. So you add all the boxes in the before, right? All the units. So there are 9 units of donuts at first, plus 6 units of buns at first, and you get a total of 15 units. And 15 units is equal to 450. So your 1 unit will be 450 and divide by 15, and you get 1 unit is 30, right? Okay, how many buns were sold? You look at the buns at first, which is 6 units, and then the buns in the end, which is 4 units. And how many units do you sell? You have sold 2 units of buns, and your 2 units will be equal to 1 unit is 30, and then you times 2, and you have sold 60 buns. Okay, and that's how you draw out the problem, and then from the model you work out the steps. So it's not very hard actually. What is the challenge here is to be able to read every sentence, and if you see fractions, you must be able to interpret, because if you cannot interpret the fractions, then you can't draw. Alright, so it's important that you learn how to interpret the fraction, how to do the arrow pointing, so they can draw correctly. Okay, so we come to the end of our creative model drawing for upper primary. So I'll be uploading worksheets for next week, alright, for the model drawing for next week. So you should try to attempt to solve before you watch the online lesson next week. Alright, so stay tuned. So for the many Thursdays to come, for the rest of the year, we'll be doing a lot of lessons on model drawing, right? So the whole objective is to what? Is to empower you, is to help you, all right, to be confident, all right, to be able to draw out the problem confidently. Even for the weaker students, for those who are not so good in math, math is not very scary because there are methods to help you to get the answer, right? So it becomes a nightmare, right? Maths become a nightmare when you don't have methods, when you are relying on your own mind to try to write out whatever steps that you can, then it becomes a nightmare. But once you know the methods, right, then the methods will help you to work out the steps, right, easily, right? So model drawing is one of the methods, and so it's my hope that as you keep watching the online lesson, that you begin to learn how to draw, right? Even if you don't know how to solve, focus on the drawing, and the more you draw, the better you get, and you should be able to get able to solve most of the problems that require model drawing. All right, that if there's a question that you can see that you can draw model, then you can solve it already because you understood the lesson, right? Okay, so so I will see you the next Thursday at 9 p.m. All right, so stay tuned for the next online lesson at 9 p.m. on next Thursday.